The rain had been falling steadily all afternoon, turning the streets into long mirrors of grey and silver. Laura Mendoza checked her watch for the third time in 2 minutes and sighed. She was already late for a crucial court hearing, one that could define her career as a top corporate lawyer. Her heels clicked sharply against the pavement as she stepped out of her luxury car to inspect the problem. The engine was dead. Perfect, she muttered, frustration tightening her jaw. She had ignored the strange noise earlier, confident that an expensive car never truly failed. Now, stranded on the side of a nearly empty road, her confidence felt foolish. That was when she noticed him. A modest pickup truck pulled over behind her. A man stepped out, wiping grease-stained hands on an old rag. He wore worn jeans, heavy boots, and a faded jacket with a mechanic's patch stitched on the chest. His posture was relaxed, his expression calm.
"Car trouble?"
he asked politely. Laura looked him up and down. In her world of tailored suits and glass offices, people like him barely existed. "Yes," she replied curtly, "but I've already called roadside assistance." The man nodded but glanced at the open hood. "Mind if I take a look? Sometimes it's something simple." She hesitated, then shrugged. "Do whatever you want. But this car costs more than most houses. I doubt you can fix it." He smiled faintly, not offended, and leaned over the engine. Laura crossed her arms, watching skeptically as he listened, touched, adjusted. Minutes passed. "Your fuel pump relay is stuck," he said calmly. "I can fix it, but it'll take a bit." She let out a short laugh. "You fix this?" Her eyes sparkled with sarcasm. "Listen, if you manage to fix my car right now, I'll quit my job and marry you." The words slipped out easily, a joke meant to amuse herself more than anything else. The man paused for a moment, then looked at her, not angrily, not embarrassed, just thoughtfully. "All right," he said simply. "Give me 20 minutes. Laura rolled her eyes and stepped back, scrolling on her phone, convinced she'd just witnessed the peak of absurdity for the day. But behind her, the mechanic worked with quiet focus, his movements precise, his expression serious, as if he had just been given a challenge worth accepting. She had no idea that her careless joke was about to change both of their lives forever. 20 minutes felt longer than Laura expected. She stood under the awning of a closed cafe, arms folded tightly, heels sinking slightly into the wet pavement. Every now and then, she glanced toward the mechanic, fully prepared to see him give up. But he didn't. He worked in silence, occasionally reaching into his truck for tools that looked old but well cared for. "This is ridiculous," she muttered to herself. "I should have called my assistant." Finally, the man straightened up and closed the hood. "Try it now," he said. Laura let out a dry laugh. "You're serious?" She slid back into the driver's seat, pressed the start button, and froze. The engine purred smoothly as if nothing had ever been wrong. Her eyebrows shot up. She turned the key off, then on again. Perfect. No warning lights. No strange sounds. She stepped out slowly, disbelief written all over her face. "How?" she began. "Told you," he said with a small shrug. Relay just needed cleaning and a reset. For the first time, Laura truly looked at him, not at his clothes or his truck, but at his eyes. They were calm, confident, and strangely kind. "Well," she said, forcing a smile, "I suppose I owe you." He wiped his hands again. "No need, just happy to help." She laughed a little too quickly. "Come on, don't be modest. What do I pay you?" He shook his head. "Nothing. Just keep your promise." Her smile froze. "My promise?" He met her gaze steadily. "You said if I fixed the car, you'd quit your job and marry me." For a second, Laura thought he was joking. Then she realized he wasn't laughing. "Oh," she said, clearing her throat. That was obviously a joke. "I know," he replied calmly. So was my answer. Relief washed over her, but it was followed by something else. Curiosity. "Why did you stop then?" she asked. "You could have charged me a fortune." He hesitated, then said quietly, "I don't fix things for money alone. Some challenges are about pride." She studied him, unsettled. No man had ever spoken to her like that, not without trying to impress her or gain something. "What's your name?" she asked. "Daniel," he replied. "Laura." She reached into her purse, pulled out a business card, and handed it to him. "If you ever need legal help, call me." Daniel glanced at the card, then back at her. "Careful," he said lightly. "You lawyers don't usually make promises you can't keep." She smirked. "And mechanics don't usually save my day." As she drove away, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that something unexpected had just entered her. Carefully controlled life, and it wasn't leaving anytime soon. Laura didn't sleep well that night. She kept replaying the moment in her mind. The rain, the broken car, the mechanic's calm voice, and the way he'd looked at her when she made that careless joke. She had mocked him without even realizing it. That wasn't like her. Or maybe it was, and that's what bothered her most. The next morning, back in her glass-walled office overlooking the city, Laura won her case with the sharp precision she was known for. Applause followed. Partners congratulated her. But for the first time, the victory felt hollow. As she gathered her files, her eyes fell on her phone. Daniel's name wasn't there. She shook her head. Why would it be? He was a stranger, a mechanic she'd met by chance, and yet, 2 days later, her assistant announced a visitor. "There's a man here to see you. Says his name is Daniel." Laura's heart skipped, something it hadn't done in years. He stood in the doorway, wearing the same worn jacket, holding a folded piece of paper, out of place among marble floors and designer suits, yet strangely confident. "I hope I'm not interrupting," he said. "Not at all," she replied quickly. "Please come in." Once the door closed, he unfolded the paper. It was an official notice. "I bought an old workshop," he explained. "The landlord's trying to force me out with a contract loophole. I remembered your card." Laura read it carefully. Her professional focus snapped into place, but this time it mixed with something warmer. "They're wrong," she said firmly, "and I can prove it." Over the next weeks, Daniel returned often, sometimes to discuss the case, sometimes just to talk. He told her about growing up, fixing engines with his father, about choosing honest work over fast money. She told him about the pressure, the expectations, the loneliness at the top. When Laura won his case, Daniel smiled, not with triumph but gratitude. "You didn't have to fight this hard," he said. "I wanted to," she replied. One evening, as they walked past the same road where her car had once broken down, Laura stopped. "You know," she said softly, "I never thanked you properly. Not for fixing the car, but for reminding me who I was becoming." Daniel looked at her. "And who's that?" She met his eyes, sincere. "Someone who needed to change." He smiled. "Careful, Laura. Sounds like another promise."